Paul is next in Fresno, California. Hey, Paul, how are you?
Hey, Dave, I'm doing really, really well. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
So I'm a part owner and editor of a newspaper publishing company that runs 2 local weekly newspapers as well. Our top line is around $2 million, and we've got 30 employees overall, a mix between full-time and part-time. And we just recently discovered the podcast, and we kind of discovered that we've been in the Pathfinder phase, but we've probably been there for quite a while, and maybe not doing necessarily all the steps to move past that, but now we found you, so perfect. But so right when we were going through some significant growth last year, and then we just had some key younger employees in pivotal positions just, up and leave. A couple of them left for better paying jobs and benefits that were just outside of our range. And then another has just left the industry altogether. So what I wanted to get your take on was, how do we invest in our new and even current employees in a way that encourages them to buy into our mission? And hopefully, if we do a good job at that, we can reduce turnover.
Yeah. Well, we've had the highest turnover in the past 24 months that we've ever had in our history, and so has most every company in the nation. The nation has gone through, as you probably know, what we've called the Great Resignation. And companies our size have had a 29% turnover. Our turnover was nowhere near that, but it was still double what we're used to, and that's what you're experiencing. You didn't have turnover much, and all of a sudden, boom, some key people walked out, and you really feel it. I mean, you lose 5 key people in a 30-person organization. That's dadgum. That knocks the wind out of you, scares you. And if I were you, that's what I would be feeling. And so, so we're constantly addressing that right now and looking at it. So part of what we've done, and I'd recommend, is the recognition that this is a cultural phenomenon that came out of an existential crisis after a pandemic, after a quarantine. People came out of a quarantine and went, I really don't know what I need to. They're kind of wandering around with this deer in the headlights look and looking for happiness and trying to find it somewhere. And I don't know if I really even want to work. You know what I'm saying? And it was all this weird crap going on, almost like the 70s kicked back in or something. And so, we're losing people to that. The work at home movement, evolved or hit a different stride or whatever out of that. And it was accelerated because of COVID, because of the quarantine as well. And so we've lost some people that want to work from home, and we work from work. So it's not an option for us. And it's our choice, but it's your choice not to work here. So that's okay. So we've lost a few people from that. And I'm okay with that. It's okay. But we didn't change the program. You did. So anyway, one thing we've done is we recognize that this was a blip. Like a lot of things in the supply chain and other things, the Great Resignation is about run its course. It's followed up now by the Great Regret. There's a whole bunch of people left their jobs for what they thought were better paying situations or better situations overall that are wishing they didn't because they jumped from the frying pan into a bonfire. They got themselves into a mess and corporate America has turned around laying them back off and screwing them. And so there's been the Great Resignation followed by the Great Regret. This is going to smooth back out. We're going to go back to more normal turnover ratios. So number one, it's not something you need to panic and overcorrect what you've been doing. Number two, it's a good thing to wake up and say, hey, we got to do what you're suggesting, Paul, which is how can we actually address this? Yes, I want to address it, but I want to tell you up front that even if you had addressed it before all of this, you still would have lost some of those people because we did. And we've got a great culture. We've got an incredible work culture here. So first thing is, there's not a pay system that will cause you to retain people. You got to pay fairly, and I love incentive plans of any kind and Chotskys and anything where we can help people. But the biggest thing that retains people is 2 things. One is really good, open, clear, integrity-based communication with their leadership team, where they feel heard and are heard, and they're course-corrected, and they've got accountability, they've got encouragement, So, if you're at the Pathfinder stage, one of the things we talk about is weekly one-on-ones. You guys got to take that to an art form, to where the person is being heard by their leader speaking into their lives, cares about them personally, in a sense, pastors them, knows what's going on with their sick dog, their kids, struggling in school, whatever. We know we care about the people. We love the people. We spend time with the people. And that open, clear, and clear communication on performance and mentoring on how to get better. And people appreciate that so much, they will do anything to stay in a situation like that. The second thing we find is they have to tie their work to something that has meaning. People don't go to the assembly line anymore and do mindless stuff. They won't stay with you, even if you pay them unbelievable amounts of money. And so they have to tie that, okay, you're in journalism, that the work you're doing with these newspapers, it matters. It's work that matters. We've got it all over the walls at Ramsey. This is work that matters. When you write a line of code here, you're helping somebody with their money, helping them save their marriage, helping them change their family tree, send their kids to college. This is work that matters. When you ship a book here in shipping, you're not just a shipping guy or gal. You're somebody that actually did work that matters. Something changed because you did that, because that book got there on time. And so you're engaged in something that has a noble purpose. And you are, Paul. So you just got to communicate that a lot, over and over and over, till you're sick of saying it, because they don't hear it until you say it 9 million freaking times. And then the one-on-ones you're talking about, look, you got to do this different because this is work that matters, and you tie it back to that. And I stand up in staff meeting. We have a staff meeting for the whole 1,000-plus people team every Monday morning, and I remind them, listen, this place is blessed. We've got unbelievable financial resources, talent. We've got brand recognition. People love us in the marketplace, and we are blessed. But we are not blessed so that we just become blessed. We're blessed so that we can be a blessing. If you work inside these walls, you work for the people that aren't here. You work for the people outside these walls. That's your job. Serve that customer. Help them change their lives. And that's work that matters. It has meaning. And so when you work at Ramsey, you're doing stuff that has meaning. And Paul, you've got the ability to do the exact same thing. So if you get good, clear communication and they see a path on how they are adding value and how they can move up in the organization, they got good leaders that have integrity and are clear with them when they're doing something right or when they're doing something wrong. They're plugging into work that has meaning, and then on top of that, you pay market wages plus some, and especially if you share some profits. As we all win, we win together. That kind of stuff. That's about all you can do, and then still you're going to have stuff come along like the Great Resignation or the work from home movement or anything like that. That's still going to take your knees out sometimes. And I've lost some folks in the last 2 years that I love dearly, and I hate that they're gone. And I think they made a mistake in many cases. But if you're making $100,000 a year and somebody offers you 120, you walk out the door, you may or may not have made a good move. It sounds like on the surface that's automatically a good move, but you might not have. And in some cases, I knew where they were going, and I knew they were going into a cesspool, and I knew that it wasn't worth the money. And they're probably not going to last, or they're probably going to get kicked to the curb. But that you can't tell somebody that. They got to experience it for themselves. So all you can do is all you can do, and that's enough on this subject. But lean into those kinds of soft skills. Make sure your comp plans are fair and inventive and creative, and that you're bringing on good, solid people. The other thing we're looking for, the last piece of this, Paul, and I'm kind of spitballing some of this, but telling you what we're doing right now, real time, is we have really tightened up our interview process.
Oh, yeah.
Because, if somebody works here 90 days and then they walk in and go, I think I want to work from home. Well, that's our fault. We shouldn't have hired that person. Right.
I was going to ask you as well, what are some of the things that you do in the hiring process that can perhaps cut down on some of the more regulars that fall out, say, after 90 days? Or is it just something that you don't know?
I'm going to dig in pretty deep on their maturity and go, are they telling me the truth, or are they just telling me crap to get a job? And so we're gonna interview them a lot. We do a lot of interviews, 4, 5, 6, 7 interviews. We don't never hire one on just one interview. And in that process, different people are talking to them, and we're trying to get a bead on it. Does this person really want to plug into the crusade that we're doing here, or are they looking for a job? And if they're just looking for a job, they're not going to fit in, because the people that work here and that last, they care deeply about this place. They care deeply. They will fight you, and you're not going to like it if you're in here going, I'm just here to get a check. You don't fit into this place. So we want you to know that up front. And so we ask a lot of questions, leading questions about stuff like that in the process, and try to ascertain, is this person mature enough? But we literally had a person leave in the last 90 days that had been here 90 days. And one of my guys comes in and goes, what's up with that? And I'm like, what's up with that is you're stupid. You hired them. It's our fault. Something in our process let that person in the building, and it's our fault. So I'm not going to blame that little immature 20-something that couldn't find their butt with both hands. And, they obviously wander into a building where we say very clearly we work from work. We do not have a work from home program. And then they discover while they're working here that they can't work from home. Well, how dumb is that? That's our fault that we let that person in the building. They were not qualified to be in here, maturity-wise or anything else, and that's what we get into. So, yeah, the interview process is something you'll find in EntreLeadership Elite. We spend a lot of time on interviewing to make sure we get the right people in the building. Man, keeping crazy out of the building, it's a full-time job, man. It's a dadgum, because crazy will sneak in. And it will drive you bananas running a small business. So, hey, really good questions, Paul. And I don't have time to teach the whole thing out, but that's just some thoughts I had. And it's actually stuff that we're working on at this moment. We've always been pretty good at it, but we're getting even better at it every minute while we're here. And some of those special challenges we've all had in the past 36 months or so, we've learned how to do all new stuff in the process. That's how we do it. So, really good question.